Analyst Matt, let's just talk about Robert Mueller and whether or not he will end up interviewing Donald Trump. What do you think is going to happen?
So I think he will certainly insist on an interview, or he will request an interview. At that point, Donald Trump will have a choice. He can either submit to a voluntary interview or decline it, at which point I think the special counsel will send him a grand jury subpoena. Every American citizen has the right, if they get a grand jury subpoena, to go to the grand jury and take the Fifth Amendment and not testify, not because they don't want to incriminate themselves. That is his constitutional right as an American citizen. I think most people would find that unacceptable behavior from a president of the United States.
What about from Donald Trump, though? I mean, a lot of the things he does, most people would find unacceptable.
Yeah, you would find it unacceptable. Look, we have to go back to the fact he promised at the start of this investigation 100% cooperation. Asking for an interview done through written questions is not 100% cooperation, and taking the Fifth Amendment is not 100% cooperation.
Can he defy a grand jury subpoena?
He could attempt to. Look, there is precedent for a president having received a grand jury subpoena before. President Clinton received one in the Lewinsky case. He eventually negotiated that with the special counsel. The subpoena was withdrawn, but only when the president agreed to testify under oath. There is a theory under which the president could push this, could try to argue that because he's the president that he should not be, he should not have to appear before a grand jury, not have to testify like any other American citizen should do. But courts historically have been pretty skeptical about claims like that from the President of the United States. For example, in the Nixon administration, the Supreme Court held unanimously that the President had to turn over his tapes. Appeals courts have ruled that executive privilege does not apply in the context of a grand jury subpoena. I think it would be, he could push that, he could argue in court. I think he'd be unlikely to succeed. Donald
Trump is no stranger to litigation. He's done a number of depositions in the past. He's been under oath a number of times. It would be wrong to say that he doesn't know what he's doing in these circumstances. He certainly does. Is it more difficult, though, to face a special counsel, to face Robert Mueller, than it is to face anybody in the civil world that he has dealt with in the past?
Yeah, it's a big difference doing a civil deposition and doing an interview in a criminal inquiry where he is a subject of the investigation and he's facing off with some of the most experienced FBI agents and prosecutors in this country. Look, we've all watched Donald Trump for the past 2.5 years in public life, almost a year now of being president. At times, he seems constitutionally incapable of telling the truth. I think that's why you see his lawyers trying to push back on doing an interview now, because if you don't tell the truth in one of those interviews, that's a criminal charge or grounds for impeachment.
But can't he just say repeatedly, to the best of my knowledge, no, to the best of my knowledge, no, to the best of my knowledge, no? Isn't that a strategy to get him around things?
Of course he can, or he can say, to the best of my knowledge, I don't remember, or I can't recall those specific facts. That's what a careful witness will do. But if you say that, and Bob Mueller has other testimony where aides to the president recall him talking about these events a couple weeks ago, a month ago,